Well, hello. Welcome to Live After 3D episode, whatever the hell it is. I have no idea. Life's been complicated. Right, you'll notice that the production values of this are going up very slightly. We'll explain more about that as I'm going along. I'm going to split it into sections because it allows me to do some rather nice transitions. First up, which I'll probably use as the tagline for this, although it's not the main part of it. Now, you may have noticed that I've put a few music videos up lately. There was, of course, Tax the Rich. That was quite interesting, how it was immediately blacklisted on the likes of Facebook and stuff like that. And you can sort of understand why, because these are the people I'm aiming towards. That was fair enough. If you're going to play in their playground with their toys, they are allowed to say, no, fuck off. Now, I made a one by accident for Gotta Reach the Bottom. Let me tell you about that song. I wrote that in 1999. So that's 23 years ago. It was meant to try and talk some sense into a friend of mine who I could see was going down a heavy road into alcoholism. The only fault with that really was the fact that it's taken 23 years for me to get round to recording a final version with vocals, which makes it a bit late. But I thought, well, it comes in handy and it sort of covers the risks of alcohol. He says, speaking as a person who probably drinks a bit too much. So it's more, yeah, you can enjoy yourself, but remember there's always a risk, right? So how did I create a music video by accident? Well, here's the thing. I thought, well, I'll practice some of my editing and color grading skills because this is something that I feel that moving forward, I can use as possibly an income. So I had a load of footage left over from Tax the Rich, and I imported it all into Resolve. And I just thought, I'll need something to work with. And I dragged one of the songs at random, which happened to be Gotta Reach the Bottom. And I was, doing all these fancy cuts and things like this, and timing the music, and all the stuff. After about sort of 2 hours, I watched it through, and I'm like, this is nearly a complete music video. Only needs a few tweaks. Okay. So the next day, I thought, well, let's do those tweaks. And I had the whole thing wrapped up in a couple of days. And that wasn't full days, that's just a few hours here and there. There's maybe, 5 or 6 hours in total from being done with that music video. So that's how I managed to make a music video by accident. I mentioned that, I was practicing my editing and colour grading skills. I realised while I was doing some of the other music videos that I do have a bit of a talent for editing. It's sort of natural to me. And I think part of that comes from when you're working in visual effects, especially, or doing stuff for whether it's advertising, all the other things I've done over the nearly 30 years in 3D. It's 29, but you get good at what I call polishing the turd. Taking something that you don't have enough time to make the way you would like it and making it look good. So, to me, being able to take some flat footage, colour grade it properly, not the way I used to. I'm still learning the colour grading side, and edit things together, I find easy. So I'm putting a lot of work into learning that, and the plan is to possibly go into being a freelance editor. Now, the theory behind this is quite simple. There's more and more people using social media, and they get above a certain level and realise, I can't do all the editing and all the other stuff and record the videos and keep it, at the top of the algorithm. So they need an editor. So they bring somebody in. And I looked at the starting rates for editors, and I'm thinking an assistant editor, I'm like, it's not brilliant, but I don't need the money to be brilliant. I just need it to be enough to top up what I already have. See? And that'd be problem solved. So that's why I'm, doing all that. And you'll see a lot more of that in due course. I am also planning, because I realise I'm going to need some footage to actually work with. I wrote, the start of the script for a short film. It's not visual effects based. It's character driven and narrative driven. I'm working with what locations and people I have available. And I'm sort of working in a similar way to Nolan did with his initial short films that he made. Not that I ever expect to get to that level, right? I'm just being clear, but I'm using the same sort of thing. Use what you can, write around that, something interesting, then edit the shit out of it and colour grade it and do some good sound design. That's the plan. Now, I do feel it's time to come clean is the wrong word, but explain what's been going on in my private life. the more perceptive of you will notice that I have not been my chirpy, happy self, especially those of you that know me in real life. Some of you know what's been going on, some of you don't. I suppose I better start at the beginning, as the family all know. Now, my mother had 2 very bad falls this time last year. And afterwards, she started showing signs of dementia. It's probably she had it before this, but it was very early on. This simply put everything on fast forward. My mother had another fall at home about 2 weeks back, 2-3 weeks back. No, more than that, 2 or 3 months back, actually. My head's fucked, I'll be honest with you. And she ended up in hospital where she had another fall and broke her arm. She only realises who I am maybe 1 out of every 10 times. I won't go into too many details about that because that's a privacy issue for her. But to say that it's pulled my insides out and turned them inside out is to put it mildly. Now, today, roughly about now at the time of filming, so I'm filming on Monday, she's due to move into a care home. The chances of my mother ever living back at home are pretty much 0. And if she does, then it means the system is completely broken. Now, on top of this, my dad had a stroke was it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Wednesday. So his speech is slurred, right, so his face has dropped a bit. It's a fairly mild stroke. Luckily, as I've had 2 myself, I can give him a bit of advice. What worried me was the hospital did not keep him in overnight, which they're supposed to do, because the first 5 days after a stroke are the most dangerous. Because sometimes it can be followed by other ones, or you might not be aware of the changes that have happened. Right? Some of them are obvious, like slurred speech, and other ones are not. And I do think a lot of this is probably coming from on high at government level, that there's too many old people in the hospital. So if you're over 75, just send them home and they can take their own chances. So I have both of my parents currently ill and infirm. Me and my brother are trying to make sense of all this. My brother's currently looking after my dad, which brings its own set of pressures for him, because he has a downstairs toilet and we don't. And my dad at home has a stair lift. Our mess, I'll be honest. I am trying to put everything desperately in a little tiny lockbox in my head to defer to deal with later, whenever that may be. It was never part of the way I envisaged life for both my parents at virtually the same moment to be incredibly infirm in different ways. This explains why I feel at the moment, and I know that some people will disagree with this, that I'm not really fun to be around at the moment. If I go out at night time, I suspect some people actively avoid being near me because I am, I try not to be depressive about it, but there's not a lot of happy things going on in my life at the moment to talk about. And if somebody I know well asks me, how are things going with your parents, I will answer honestly. Then they go, shit, wish I'd never asked that. But the point I'm making is, I feel like a bit of a Jonah at the moment, because remember a few months back, Jeffrey J. Smith had a stroke. My mum's ended up in hospital. I know friends that have had, loads of friends that have had lots of different varieties of COVID. Now my dad's had a stroke. I'm not exactly feeling 100% with all this. I'm not sleeping properly. Even during the day, sometimes, like this morning, I tried to go down for a nap because I've only had a few hours sleep last night. And I can't sleep because there's that much whirring around my head. 24/7. How does this end? Well, there's a few potentials really in there. I'm somewhat surprised a few people I know by letting them inside what goes on in my head. And I was talking to somebody, I won't mention who it is, and I said, well, the thing is, I prepare for the death of every person I know and have done since the age of 11. Just part of how I'm wired up. Does it help? Not really, no. Maybe slightly, But, so I know how eventually this is going to go. But am I worried? Yes. Because I'm trying to keep everybody else right in the family. So a lot of the time, I'll get offloaded to by my dad. That's great, fair enough. My brother, yeah, fair enough. Unfortunately, a lot of this is getting bottled up. I'm still able to do my job because it takes my head off this. I can concentrate on other things. You know, that's why there's going to be a lot more music, a lot more stuff like that, because I have to keep my head busy. I have no choice in the matter. Because I know where that leads otherwise. Now, excuse me, originally this video was going to be about a completely different subject. And I was very tempted to add it into this video, but I thought, well, no, I can't really. It's the wrong sort of video to put this in. So I know somebody's waiting for me to cover a certain subject. It'll probably be in the next video, all going well. My life is so random at the moment, I do not know what is going to happen from one day to the next. It makes planning things out virtually impossible. And I feel like I'm at an impasse because 98% of my head is running round worrying about what's going on with my parents. Obviously, I'm a bit worried about the fact that although we have an income we're able to survive, that's going to get fun during the winter for a lot of us that haven't got a decent income. The price of heating now is it's astounding. Our smart meter spins around like a fucking slot machine. So we daren't have the heating on all day. Now I've got asthma. And as anybody who has asthma knows, the worst thing you can do is be in an environment with cold air because it will make it fucking worse, right? I know that's going to happen. Not much I can do about it. I suppose I should, for once, actually mention that down there in the links in YouTube, right, there's one for, is it Ko-Fi coffee or whatever it is, where you can buy me a coffee. Think of it like Patreon, but for like people like me who can't be asked to set up a reward system. So, you know, feel free to buy me a coffee or whatever, because Christmas is coming on. It's getting rather expensive. I think the thing is this Christmas, my son's 17 and a half, so he graduates now to being like an adult present, if you know what I mean. And I'm not really in the right place mentally to do a tutorial set. That would be unfair. I don't believe in doing them unless I'm in the right headspace to do it. I believe in doing my job well or not at all. So yeah, life's a bit of a fucking mess at the moment. Through no fault of my own. Or anybody else's, to be fair. It's just trying to juggle 9 balls, but you've only got one hand. Eventually someone I'm going to fall. Anyway, I'm Wayne Robson. This is Life After 3D episode what fucking ever it is, because, to be fair, I've got bigger things going on in my life than remember which number this is. But I thought it was good to let people know. I know some people are more perceptive than others, and I've known that something's up, but not quite sure what. This has been going on most of this year, at varying levels with my mum, and it's now got a critical mass point. Simple as that. Right, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.